Okay, here is the list of contents for today's discussion. Is my screen visible to you? Hope yes.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see the list class, list interface and its implementation class called array list, and then using that array list component to do the data retrieval using the iterator. And also there is one more special interface to do the iteration called list iterator, which will be specifically used against the list components. And then we'll see one more interface called set interface and both of its implementation classes like hash set and tree set, right? So let's start working with this list interface. So this interface allows us to store the number of elements as an ordered collection. Means like if you are adding 1, 2, 3, 4, it will be storing in that order. If you are adding 1, 3, 6, 7, it will be storing in that order. Means 1 is stored as first element, 3 is stored as second element, like that. Whatever the order, the end user is trying to add them to that list component, so in that order it will be stored, right? So this list interface looks almost similar to your vector class. Like as part of vector, we have seen how the elements are getting added to that vector object and how all those elements will be able to access them by using the respective indexing position, and also how to retrieve the data either using index of that vector or by using either enumeration or the iterator component, how we applied against the vector object. Similarly, we'll also able to apply the things against this list components as well, right? And this list interface is going to store the data in the respective order whatever we will be adding, but this is going to allow the duplicate elements. So if already some element is already available, then the same element you will be able to add it for any number of times. Whereas if you go with the set interface, it is also doing the same job as that of your list component, but it will not allow you to add any duplicate elements to the set. Okay, we'll walk through the usage of this list interface and the special interface that is provided to do the data retrieval using the list iterator, which is helpful for us for the retrieval of the data, like the iterator interface. Like iterator interface, we have seen that we will be able to retrieve the data from first element to the last element, whereas list iterator is going to do the data retrieval either from first to last or last to first. And also you'll be able to do data insertion or data replacement, all those operations which are not possible with your iterator. Some additional operations will be able to perform by using the list iterator, right? So we'll see them. Now coming to this array list class, it is implementing the list interface, which is known as the resizable array implementation class, and is meant for implementing the operations to do the to add the elements, to remove the elements, all such things. So whenever you are keep on adding the elements, the size of that array list object is going to be expanded. If you are removing the elements, the size of that array list is going to be shrinking down. So that way we are going to work with this array list component. And this array list is equivalent to vector, as we already worked with vector. So whatever the operations we are done with vector, same operations are used against the array list object as well. But the thing is that vector is a legacy component and it was a synchronized one. Hence its performance was pretty slow. And this array list came in the later editions, later versions of JDK, like JDK 1.2 onwards array list is there. And it is the unsynchronized component, and being an unsynchronized component, you will be able to perform the operations pretty faster than the vector component. right? So like the way as we said that dynamic array implementation is going to be taken care by this array list component, all that job is going to be done by using its internal capacity. Means if you have declared one array list object and you are trying to store 10 elements in that, so as soon as 10 elements are added, some other additional capacity of for allocating 10 more elements will also be provided under that array list component. So that way we'll be able to have that array list object which is maintaining the capacity internally, so that with the help of that capacity, when you are keep on adding some new elements, that capacity is growing, and when you are removing the elements, that capacity is shrinking down. So accordingly the size of that array list will also be. So all this job is going to be internally taken care by that array list implementation itself, right? So that is how this array list is going to be useful. So let's work with this array list. So the basic difference between array and array list is that your array is a static object, means which is having a limited number of elements, whereas array list is a dynamic structure, means its structure is dynamically changing. It all based on how you are adding the elements, how you are removing the elements, all that, right? So let's write one simple program to demonstrate the usage of this array list object, right? Whom do I make the presenter? As usual, Venu or Venkateshwar Reddy or Likita, Ravi, Shashank, anyone. If you are interested to share, so don't hesitate. Right? If no one is willing, then
Yeah,
I'll
I'm ready.
begin. Right? So shall I make you Venu?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. I'm making you the presenter. Yes, you are the presenter now. Okay. Under this com.util.practice package, let's create an array list object. So let me paste this code. Array list demo or array list test. Name of the class is array list test, or you can name it as array list demo. Anything is fine. Okay. So here let's create array list object. Copy these lines of code and let's add few elements to that. So here I am trying to declare my array list. So on the top there is one more line. Copy that line also. Array list object you are not copied. Create that array list object AL. Yeah. So we are instantiating the array list object and then we are adding the elements to that by using the simple method called add method. Import that array list class from java.util package, and also you need to import the data as well, right? So this is your array list class, which is considered as a raw component, means it is not declared to have a particular type of data to be stored in that, hence it is considered as a raw object and is allowed to store any type of data in that. So it is adding a string object, it is adding an integer object, it is adding a date object. So like that any type of data I will be able to store there. Whereas if I say array list string AL new array list string, I mean that enclose that string within less than and greater than symbol, then that would be considered as a type specific array list. But here we are not using any type specific array list, right? So let's print the data of this array list object by using a regular for loop. Regular for loop we are trying to use means we are going to copy these lines. We are going to do the data retrieval of this array list object based on its index. So I am going to use the get method to get the data from that particular index. Right, so retrieving the array list elements by index. So index begins at 0 and we say that I less than al dot size I plus plus. So element 0, element 1, element 3, all those details we are going to print there on our console. So let's see how you are retrieving it by using the get method. Al dot get of I you are passing. So when you pass that respective index, the element at that index is going to be returned to you. So element 0, element 1, element 2. So this is how all these three elements are printed on your console. Right? After that, let's do the data retrieval. Either by using iterator. We'll do it iterator way of doing later. So now let us create one more array list which will be specific to store the string type of data. Okay. So take this array list, one more array list. So I am trying to declare this array list to store only string type of data in that. So I am saying array list string. So string is passed as a type parameter over there, so that this list object is accepting only the string values. Now press enter. Now you can use the for loop. The enhanced for loop you will be able to use here. Press control space bar. Choose that fourth one for each. Iterate over an array or iterable. Yes, press that. So it is going to fetch the data from that list one element at a time. So you can say string s colon list. So from that list it is going to fetch one element at a time into that local variable of that for loop, right, called s, and print that s variable inside that for loop. So here we are not using any element index, all that, but we are directly fetching one element at a time from that list using this enhanced for loop. Whereas the above one was the regular for loop wherein we are using the respective index value to do the data retrieval using the get method, all that. Here we are not using any get method of that array list. Save this and try to run this. Let's see what is the output it is going to show you. Program is not saved. When it is not saved, you won't get the new dot class file. Right. Now it is saved and here is the output. So you can see that all those three string values whichever got added into your list object are printed on your console like this. Right. So this is what your usage of array list object we can say. Is this clear? Now let's see a few more operations like remove operation. We'll try to remove the data also directly without using any iterator. All that also will be able to directly remove the operations from the array list. So create one more new class, array list demo.java or array list test1.java, anything. Take the main method and instantiate that array list object and print its size. So copy these two lines. So we are instantiating the array list and then trying to print what is its initial size without adding any elements under that array list object. Right, so it is anyway going to print as 0. right? When you don't add any elements, obviously the size of that array list object will be 0. Now let's add few elements there. So copy all these things. So let us add one string, one integer, one double, one float, and one more string at somewhere. So copy all those elements to that object al, right? Save this. Yeah, we are not putting any sys out. So what is that we are trying to do here? How many elements we added? We added 4 elements, 5 elements. How many? So what could be the size it is going to print you now? If I try to print the size of this AL object after this addition of these many elements, so what it is going to print? Is it going to print you 4 or 5? It is not initial size, so you can modify that statement. You can copy my statement if you want. Size of AL after additions. Tell me guys, how many elements it is going to print you? 4, 5 or 0 still? Okay, run that. See what it is going to print you. Okay, 5 elements. So what are all those 5 elements? Let us print them. So copy this one more sys out. Let us print all those contents of that AL object. Contents of AL. Right? We are trying to print all those AL elements. So 0th element, first element. So what is the 0th element here? Hello is the 0th element. Then what is the first element? Actually integer 100 is the first element. But on line 15 you are inserting another string at that index 1. So if you see, the first 4 add methods are simply using a single argument for that add method, whereas the last add method is taking 2 arguments. So the first argument is the respective index where you want to insert that element and what element you want to insert. Right? So hello string is your 0th element, hi string is the first element. Then automatically that 100 is going to be pushed on to the next index location. So the index 2 is nothing but 100, index 3 is 200, index 4 is nothing but your 300. So this is how the data will be printed. Save this and try to run these ones. Right? There you can see hello is your 0th element, the very first element, then hi, then 100, then 200, then 300. Now let's remove the data. So copy all these lines. So I would like to remove 2 elements from here. So right now the size is 5 elements it is printing. Now I would like to remove 2 elements. So I am saying A, no, you have not copied it. AL dot remove high means within double quotes you kept that. Means you are trying to remove that high element. Then the next one is AL dot remove 2. So high got removed. So hello, high is removed. So after hello, 100 is the one which is relocated to the index 1. Then 200 is the one which is relocated to index 2. Then 300 to index 3. Right? When you said AL dot remove 2, so which one will get removed? When you said AL dot remove high, high got removed. Fine. Because you are directly removing the element. But when you say al dot remove 2, it is going to remove the element at that index 2. So which one is there at index 2? 200 will be there, that got removed, and then size after deletions it is going to print you two elements got removed, so 5 minus 2 it will be 3, and then we are printing all those contents. There you go, that is the output. High is removed and 200 is removed, and you got the output hello 100 and 300. Is that clear? Okay, you can also convert an array list object as a regular array. So I wrote a separate program to do the data conversion of array list as a array, a static structured object. So you can give a try to run that program on your own. So I'm leaving that program for you. So at least you can walk through the PDF and you can come up with any questions if you have. If you don't have any questions, if you don't practice, you don't get questions. So please ask some questions. Okay. So I'm skipping one program for you so that you can take a glance at least at this PDF. Now let's try to access the data of array list through iterator. Okay, let us write one more program wherein we'll try to demonstrate both the iterator and also the sub interface called list iterator. Create a new class, name it as iterators test. Iterators test. Okay, create this array list object. Okay, so it is an array list object wherein we have added all the strings, right? And it is trying to how many elements we added there? A, B, C, D, E, F in random order we added, so that it should be storing me the data in the order I have added. Now all these elements I would like to print them using the iterator. So let's create the iterator to display these elements. So copy these two lines. Okay. So here we would like to print the original content of our array list object. So on that array list object you are invoking the method called iterator that returns me the iterator object, and I want to loop through that iterator object. So write a while loop there, just type while and press control space. So we said while iterator.next, and anyway it is string type of data it is storing there, right? So let's use this sysout to print that string. So copy this sysout. So instead of println, let's print this. Okay, save this and print that. It has printed whatever the elements we added in that order. Now let's modify this data. So to do the modification, let us prepare a list iterator object, because our iterator is just allowing us to do the data navigation as well as to do the removal. Any data you wanted to remove, all such things will be able to do, right? So now let's create a list iterator object. Copy these two lines. Change that ampersand LT symbol as less than. Remove that ampersand LT. And it is a problem with that chart window of GoToMeeting. Okay, so we got created a list iterator object. Now loop through this list iterator, write the while loop, while LITR, yeah, iterate with iterator. Yes, LITR dot has next, right? So you are fetching the data of that element as a string, and let us modify that. So copy this one more line below that instead of printing. So we know that if I say sysout yes, it is once again going to do that printing the output on console. But we don't want to print the same thing again and again by using iterator and also the list iterator. So what I want to do is I want to modify that. So the data of yes, I want to modify it by concatenating plus. Means if A is there, A plus, if B is there, B plus. So that is what the modification I would like to do by using this list iterator object. Now let's print that modified content. So to print the modified content, so copy these two lines. So once again retrieve the data into that ITR variable. So ITR variable is already available. Where are you printing? Not inside the while loop. Control D you can press so that all those blank lines will go away. Yeah, press Control Shift F now and leave some spaces properly so that we can understand that what each block is trying to do. So even after line 26 also you can leave it. Yeah, 26 or 25. Right. Control Shift F. Now copy that line 22 to 26. The same while loop you can copy it and paste it after line 36. So that this time it is going to show you the modified content. So you modified the content by using list iterator and you are printing that content by using your regular iterator. Save this and run this. Let's see this modified content. right? So C became C plus, A became A plus, like that all that content got modified. Now I want to display this modified content in a backward direction. So copy this sys out after line 42 and write the while loop again on that LITR. Instead of saying has next, we'll say while LITR dot has previous, or you can copy that one. If you want to copy line 30, no. Backward modification, backward data retrieval will be done by using the list iterator. Yes, copy that while loop. Here, just instead of has next, say has previous. So it starts navigating from the bottom. And string s equal to LITR dot previous. Right, save this and try to remove that LITR dot set, control Z, and you can copy line 40 there. Yes, paste it after 47. Save it and run it. So it is going to show you the output from the last record to the first record. Right, so last one is what? F plus, D plus, B plus, like that, from last element to the first element. So that is what bidirectional navigation it is. So if you say has next, so it is nothing but your forward navigation. When you say has previous, it is known as the backward navigation, right? So that is how we will be able to navigate through this array list using this list iterator and able to print the output here. Clear? Then comes the set interface. So this interface is a collection object which is meant for holding the elements without repeating, means without any duplicate elements. And there are two implementation classes. One is the hash set implementation, which is backed by a hash table mechanism, whereas there is no guarantee how the iteration order is going to be stored for that hash set object. Right? Then one more class is there called tree set, which is going to store the data in the sorting order, like the way tree map we have seen. Similarly, tree set is there. Right, so let's create one simple example to understand this hash set, and then we'll go for tree set also. Create a new class, name it as hash set test, hash set test. Take the main method and copy this. Press Ctrl Shift F now. This code should be there inside the main method. Line 12 to 15. Select all those lines. After that, yes. Press Ctrl Shift F and import that hash set from java.util package. Save that. Right? Run this. So here is a hash set object we are trying to create and adding all these elements. So we added Bhasha as the first element. Of course it remains as the first element. Sometimes it may go to anywhere. Right? So it is not maintaining an appropriate order. So it can be in any order. So instead of hash set, if you take the tree set, automatically the data will be stored in the sorting order by default. So if you want to test that, you can test. So if you want to say save as tree set test, file save as tree set test. Save as tree set test. Tree set, tree, T-R-E-E, tree. Yeah. Like tree map we have seen, right? So similar to that tree set it is. Rename type to tree set test. And hash set things, select that hash set inside line number 9. On line number 9, just double click on that hash set, press Ctrl F, Ctrl F, replace with tree set, click the button replace all and close the button. Save, run. Right, so here the data is printed in A, B, C, D, E, F like that. I mean the sorting order. Right, so that is the basic difference between your hash set and tree set. Right, now let's write one more program to do the data retrieval of hash set using the iterator. Okay, so create a new program, hash set iterator test. Hash set iterator test. And create this hash set object to store all integer values in it. You missed public static void main. Bring that. Yeah, you can copy it from some other programs. Public static void main. Line 7 you can copy and press enter after pasting that. Paste it and press enter. That's all. Now you copy my line. No, you need not to. When you press after the open brace, when you press enter, automatically close brace will come. Control Shift F. Right. Now you copy the code from the GoToMeeting chart window. Ampersand LT symbol is there. For int I is equal to 0, I less than. That select that ampersand LT semicolon. Yeah, or you can type. Right. Control Shift F now. Right. Import that hash set. So now if you see this hash set object, which is a one meant for storing the integer values, and we are running the for loop, and this for loop is started at 0 and goes less than or equal to 10 means how many times it is getting executed. For 11 times we are trying to run this for loop, and inside that for loop we are trying to add the data to the set. We say new integer of I percentage 5 means I modulus 5. So I divided by 5, whatever the remainder value you are getting, so get that remainder value as an integer object and add it to that set. So like that, how many elements will get added to your set object there? So what could be the size after you come out of that for loop? How many elements will get added to that? That is what the size is, right? So anybody, any guess? Does it store 10 elements, 11 elements, 0 elements, or only 5 elements? Are you getting the question? I mean, are you able to understand what exactly we are trying to do? So here we are trying to divide the value of I by 5, so that whatever the remainder value we are trying to get, that remainder value we are trying to add it to the set. So how many values will get added to that set? That is the question. Okay, question myself, answer also myself. Okay, run the program, save the program and run the program. Please respond, guys. So if you don't respond, it would be a little boring. Save the program first and then run. You're not asking questions, fine. I can understand that you're not practicing, that's why you're not asking. At least when we are going through this, when we are walking through this, if you ask something, that would be a little exciting. Otherwise, I'll be done my part. That is, whether you are getting it or not, irrespective of that, if you want me to complete, I can complete. The portion from my side will be completed. But it should not be, waste of my effort and waste of your time. So if you interact, if you keep on responding, then that makes more sense. So why only 5 elements? At least this one. Because just now we said that set interface does not allow to add the duplicate elements. So that's why it is adding only 5 elements there. Right? So what happens? When I is 0, 0 divided by 5, remainder is 0, so it has got added. And then I plus plus 1, 1 divided by 5, remainder 1 added. 2 by 5, remainder 2 added. 3 by 5, remainder 3 added. 4 by 5, remainder 4 added. 5 by 5, remainder is 0. 0 is already there, so it will not get added. Then 6 by 5, remainder is 1. It is also already there, so it will not be added. 7 by 5 is 2, already there. 8 by 5, it is 3, it is also already there. 9 by 5, remainder is 4, it is already there. 10 by 5, remainder is 0, it is also already there. So the elements from 0 to 4 are there. Hence, the size of that hash set object is only right. So that's how the hash set size has given to returned us as the 5, and all those are the 5 elements there. Now let us retrieve all these 5 elements through the iterator. So copy these lines of code just below that line number 12. Okay, import that java.util.iterator. Okay, so we said set.iterator that returned us the iterator object, and we are looping through that by using while itr.asNext. And when we say next, 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 it keep on fetching an integer value, and that integer value we are adding to the sum, so that we are going to calculate the sum of all those elements that are added to that set object. Right? Means 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 is added to the sum variable, and it is going to print us sum of all those hash set values, right, after you come out of that while loop. Save this and run this. Right, so this is how we'll be able to use the iterator to do the data retrieval as well as to perform any logic by iterating through or by navigating through that particular set object. Alright, then you have seen tree map object, tree set object, which is backed by a tree map instance, which is guaranteeing the order of sorting. Right, now let's write one more example to demonstrate this tree set, or you can go to the same example which is already there. Tree set test is already there with you, right? So just go there into that program tree set test.java, and there let us create one more set there after line 18. At line 18 you can write sysout, put some, yeah, no, nothing, no need of putting any breaks, just that is fine. Right, now we can copy this string array. So we are trying to declare an array with some string values in that, and then we would like to create another tree set object and wanted to store the data in that tree set object in reverse order. Change that ampersand LT thing. Select that ampersand LT semicolon. Okay, make it less than symbol. Perfect. Ampersand LT semicolon is equivalent to your less than symbol. Yes. Import Control Shift O. Right. So all these array elements we would like to add it to that tree set object, and then we want to print one value at a time, right? So let us print that string array data, and then while printing the array data, print it as well as add it to the set object. So copy these lines of code there at line 25. So we are trying to understand what is all there in that string array, and then all those array elements we are trying to add it to the set object. Right, so you are looping through that by saying for int I equal to 0. So starting from the 0th index, n equal to elements dot length I less than n, I plus plus, and you are printing each element of I, and then that elements of I is added to your set, right? And now after you added to that set, now let us print that tree set data using a enhanced for loop like this. So after that line 31, take this. Tree set data we wanted to print. There you go. So you are fetching one element at a time from that set by using your enhanced for loop and printing that element. Right? Save this, run this. Right? So what happened? All your data is actually there in certain order, but it is added to your tree set and is showing all the data in a reverse order, because you created your tree set object to store all those elements in the reverse order by mentioning it in the constructor on line 24 saying that collections dot reverse order. If we do not mention that one, by default it is going to store the data in a ascending order. Right? When you mention collections dot reverse order, so the data is added to the tree set and is showing you there on your output. You can observe that it is all stored in the reverse order of that tree set. So the very first element is Madras, then Irish, then English, then Chinese, then Bombay. Right? So that is how the data is stored for that tree set. Clear? And here are a couple of links which are helpful to you to walk through and to bring any examples if you want to practice. So go through this. Keep this list of URLs with you. And if you click the last link, that will take you to javagalaxy.com, wherein you'll be finding number of examples for every topic. So I want you to copy those code blocks from that website and then practice as much as you can. So about every class, hash map, you want to understand the 19 examples, right? Your Kick Java is also telling you hash map class, hash table class, map interface, right? Date, enumeration, whatnot. So for every class there are respective examples there. So you can go through those examples and then you can practice them. Alright, so that's all about this collections thing. So hopefully in our next class we'll be discussing something about calendar and few more details. Alright, any questions? Okay then, see you tomorrow if you don't have any questions. Thank you Anu, thanks for sharing the screen. Guys, you also try to practice and try to share your screen as well if you are interested. I'm not forcing anyone. Okay, see you then.
Bye, bro.
Right, thank you dear.